U.S. President Donald Trump has nominated Leo Brent Bozell III as the new U.S. ambassador to South Africa. The previous ambassador to the country, Reuben Brigety, resigned in January. A process will now get underway, including U.S. Senate hearings, before he can be confirmed. But just who is Leo Brent Bozell III? Dr. Kingsley Makhubela, international relations expert, is joining us this evening to talk about this. Good evening to you, Dr. Makhubela. Thank you so much for your time. Does this choice surprise you, given the fact that some were thinking that Joel Pollak might be Trump's pick?
Good evening, Bongiwe. Well, Joel Pollak has been doing his own campaign. He's the only one who put his name as a possible candidate. And there's never been any official communication that his health being considered. Now that Brent Bozell III has been nominated, the process in earnest is beginning. But it shows you, Bongiwe, how serious the Americans are taking this relationship. You will recall that the previous ambassador was appointed 2 months, I think, by Trump, 2 years before at the end of the term, actually 1.5 years. Now he's appointing an ambassador for a full term in his office.
And when you look at, just him as a man, some have described him as a conservative and say, also he's the founder of the Media Research Center, and some also pointing towards his views, especially in particular where the media is concerned. What else do we know about him?
He is a conservative activist. Now, conservative activist, it means he's a center-right conservative activist. He runs this Media Research Center, which is affiliated to the CPAC. The CPAC is the biggest gathering that takes place every year of conservative. They, in most instances, they even decide who should be the candidate. It's a very influential group within the Republican, and they have within them also the far right. They've tried to move in, but the Christian right is also involved in that. So he's bringing this conservatism to South Africa, but we shouldn't be surprised. America is divided into what is called the liberals and the conservative. That's how it is.
Could this cause some frictions?
It's unlikely to cause friction because even the previous ambassador was appointed by the Democrats. He was a Democrat, and he subscribed to the liberal philosophy of the Democrat. So this one subscribes to the conservative ideology of Donald Trump. So I think he's going to want to do the best in terms of improving the relations. He knows that the relations now are at the very low level. He will do his best, I think, to improve the relations. But the conservatives, Bongiwe, in the United States are known to be opposed to some of the things that we hold so dear. For instance, issues around gender equality, issues around LGBTQ, these are issues that we hold so dear, are going to create a huge challenge for him. He would have to deal with them here. But these are our internal policies. I think he would understand that his mission is basically to improve the relations between the two countries, and not to sell the American ideology to South Africans.
One wonders, though, especially when you speak about the dynamics here at home, there is, of course, another issue that has also put us in crosshairs, and this is around the conflict in the Middle East as well. And he's a man that some have said that he does hold strong views about what is going on there. So how do you see this one play out when he possibly eventually gets to the country?
It's not going to be a new thing. Even the previous ambassador came here with clear instructions from his government. We know where Trump stands on the Middle East. As we are talking, he's sending a number of frigates and warships to the Red Sea to deal with the challenges that they are having with the Houthis. So he's going to advocate policies of government. Fortunately for him, he's not in the Middle East. He would have to look into focusing on South African dynamics and reporting on South African issues to his country. He would not want to sell the Middle East policy to South Africa, because that won't be part of his brief.
There's another, of course, process that is underway here in South Africa, although the president says that they're taking their time. This is following the expulsion of Ibrahim Rasool from the US, and the president saying that South Africa is now taking its time to apply its mind in order to be able to decide who they then send to the US. In your view, what qualities do we as South Africa need to, look for, especially when it comes to the person that is going to be sent now to representing the country in this particular role as far as the relations right now between the two countries are concerned?
I think we have fantastic diplomats within DECO who understand the dynamics in the United States. They need to be given the chance. What is required is to give our ambassador a new brief now that this situation has arisen between us and the United States, how to stay in his lane and not to get excited by the internal US dynamics and tend to behave as if he's an American. That's what we need to brief them. They need to focus on issues that would improve relations between South Africa and the United States and stay out of other things.
I see some names, though, are being bandied about. For example, you hear Helen Zille talking about someone like Tony Leon. You're seeing Lindiwe Sisulu's names. Do you think that those could be, should they not look at, some of the ambassadors within DERCO? Could those be options?
It's just unfortunate that people are starting to lobby for different people, and it's creating a huge challenge in terms of Article 4 of the Vienna Convention, because we need to inform the US of any prospective ambassador before we could start making an announcement. That's why even in this case, the Americans definitely informed our embassy about their new candidate. So we need to be very careful how do we deal with this thing. And I think this lobbying is not helpful. The president must decide. I just don't agree with taking time. Because taking time, we don't have the time. The Americans have shown us they've already started to appoint somebody, to nominate somebody now. So we need to nominate somebody now, really, who can better improve the relations in Washington. This is not the time, Bongi, to take time.
So roughly then, how much time would you say you're giving the president now? Because you're saying that don't take time, but others are saying take your time and possibly sit this one out, maybe even sit this administration out. You do have that view, but you do have others who are saying that maybe just give it 6 months to see if things stabilize. So how much time then are you saying in practical terms?
Well, I don't think we have time. We should have, like yesterday, we should have nominated somebody, should have given the name to the Americans to really approve, understanding that the ambassador would open the doors that any diplomat would, under normal circumstances, not be able to open. So the ambassador is quite crucial. There's always a courtesy that is extended to an ambassador. If you request meetings with members of Congress, members of the Senate, even the White House, they feel obliged to really give this attention to the ambassador. In the absence of the ambassador, we're going to lack that critical key that would open many doors that we so dearly need in Washington.
All right, let's see then how this one plays itself out. Thank you so much for your time. As always, appreciated. That was Dr. Kingsley Makhubela, international relations expert, and he himself, of course, a former diplomat there, saying that South Africa doesn't have the time, needs to appoint somebody now. So let's see, because the president says he's applying his mind. It's going to be an interesting time ahead.